Hello everyone, it's Mr. John from AK Dragfish 3D, and we continue our video series on making the fishing lures from the Long Dark game. As you can see, previously I've been injured from making the first one. I want to emphasize there is a disclaimer at the beginning of the game that says do not attempt these things at home. I'm doing this out of my own morbid curiosity, and I wish to liably remove myself from any lawsuits that could come from hurting myself by making these fishing lures. Now, on our previous video, we made the simple fishing lure as best I can with some scrap metal and some choice liberty thereof to make the fishing lure. We will take it out on the water and give it a try. In this part 2 video, we are going to attempt to make the revolver shell casing video. My revolver is sitting there beautifully for the sake of the video. I'm not going to go fire it. I don't feel like going to the gun range right now. However, I do have these beautiful casings. I have beautiful casings already. So we are going to punch these out, set a timer, get to making the lure. This is the lure that we are attempting to make in the Long Dark. They call it the Revolver Shell Casing Lure. You've got some rope, you've got a piece of metal, a couple washers, some knots, 2 revolver shell casings, 3 feathers, and a treble hook. So we're going to take some creative liberty. We're going to use some materials as close as I can to that to go from there. All right, here we are with our handy dandy tools that we are going to begin making this. We've got our revolvers, we've got our feathers. 1 feather. It says you get 1 shell casing, but the picture clearly shows 2. Some rope and some scrap metal, and we're gonna make. And I need a treble hook from my kit. My kit go. I need a treble hook because we are not gonna try to hurt ourselves anymore by attempting to make hooks from scrap metal. It just doesn't make any sense. And let's get to making it. First, I mentioned in the last video about the pop tab being aluminum and it breaks. However, for the sake of this portion, I believe it would be good to use the pop tab because you've got that metal head that you tie the line onto, and then everything else ties off from there. So this isn't going to break if it's got this directional pull. From there, we'll pull our sinew out, set this aside, get a knife, pull a good bit of sinew out so we have knot-worthy capability. And we'll twist it up. Even though it's artificial sinew, it still has really good tensile strength, and I really like using this. I think I will be using sinew or artificial sinew in the future. For now, we are twisting this to make a rope and make a thinner, more durable line. I'd imagine if I braided this, it'd have even more durability, but I don't want to sacrifice thickness for durability. Again, we are on the clock. We are on the clock. Got our twisted line. So we're going to tie this with my favorite knot, the improved clinch knot, right here. I honestly don't expect these lures to survive first contact with a fish. Most of the fish that are active in my area right around this time of the year are pike. Trim the tag in with our knife here. Careful on our workbench, because once again, in the game you need a workbench to do this project. There we go. Next order of business as we look at the picture. Okay, so I lost track of where I was in the process, so I had to take some time. I did not stop the timer. I burned 3 minutes doodling the picture again. So we have the tab, we have a knot. So we got to build up a good knot. Probably do a couple overhands here, make sure they thread in the same spot. There, I'm trying to build up a good knot right there. Now we got to put some kind of metal washer, metal blob, a piece of metal. So we are going to not use the thicker aluminum, and we're actually just going to use just the aluminum we can. My thought here is the picture requires 2 washers, so we're going to cut this in half, kind of fold it and roll it together. And once again, this is where the vise comes into play. So we've got this little metal, and then we'll do it again with another piece of metal, and then we have it, our 2 pieces of metal. Now we'll come back over here to our bench, and we'll punch those and we'll feed them up on the line. That said, safety, we're using the proper tools. There it is. There's a hole right there. And then we'll take our line and we'll feed that through like that. And it does not pass the, it does not pass, it passes the knot. So we gotta make that knot a little bit bigger. Real world, if I were to attempt to make this lure with modern technologies and not scrap technologies, I would most likely just use a bead or a bobber stopper, but I don't have those. I have the sinew. We take the one I punched the hole in and we'll put it down. And then we look at it and we put our shell casing. So we gotta punch the primer out of this. All I'm doing is flattening that. How the fuck? Okay, let's try that again. You're trying to pop the primer out of the shell without crushing the shell itself. One down, now I gotta get another one out of the drawer because I've destroyed that casing. Another brass casing here. One that isn't crushed. Now, to try this using machine tools, I would most likely just fire up the drill press and drill press the snot out of it. That said, I have 2 casings with holes through them ready for the lure. Okay, so we're back over here with the rest of the construction here, and now we put the casing on like that. And then we tie another knot at the end of the casing. You know what? I think that's part of the challenge, right? Can I do this? Can I make this lure? Now, in the video game, we just click a button. We have the materials in our possession. We click a button and ta-da-da-da. But this particular instance, we do not. And I just messed that knot up. That's fine. So, I'm not quite sure. There's really no measurements on the picture. So, for consistency purposes, we will do 3 knots. There we go. That. Now we tie the feathers. So they only give you 1 feather in the game, which makes no sense whatsoever. I've got this pack of feathers I got from the craft store because we don't have crows here. We have ravens, and it's not very polite to play with raven feathers. What I'm going to do is cut the thicker parts off and use the thinner parts. How we're going to tie these on, I'm not 100% sure. My fly game is abysmal. So I'm thinking about it here. 15 minutes to figure this out. I'm not 100% sure how to tie these feathers on. So I think I'm just going to put them in line. Just going to tie them in line. Except the feathers kick outward to the side. So maybe I need to come like this maybe? As long as I have tag end to tie the hook. That's all I'm concerned with. Sure, we're gonna go with that. That looks like a mess from a knot perspective. Yeah, see, that was a giant mess from a knot perspective. See, we got 11 minutes to figure this out. So, stick that in, cinch it down, like that, okay? And then we'll make another loop. Like that. The feather in. And cinch it down. Okay? Make another loop. We're just trying knots at this point. Just various different knots. Make another loop like this. So over the both other feathers. And then we'll get it down to that point. We'll stick the other feather in. And we'll cinch it down. There we go. Ta-da. Okay, I think I lost a feather. No, there's 3 feathers in there. Okay, so there's 3 feathers in there. And then for the final, for the last 8 minutes, we tie on the treble hook on the end. Once again, we are, for the sake of safety, we are using real hooks and not making our own out of tin cans. And there we have it. I could have probably afforded to make that a little more that way. Probably could have done a little better on it. But regardless, there, my people, with 6 minutes and 30 seconds to spare, is the Revolver Shell Casing Lure from the Long Dark. We'll add this to the repertoire of the other fishing lure here, and move on to our next beautiful lure. Stay tuned for the next lure build, and then once we build all 4 of these, we'll go to the lake, throw them around using my fishing rod, and we'll see how they turn out and see what we can catch.